Hey everyone, and a warm, enthusiastic welcome back to Best English Podcast. I'm your host, Sophia, and I'm truly delighted you've decided to spend this time with me today. Have you ever felt that flicker of frustration when you're listening to English, maybe a podcast, a movie, or a conversation with a native speaker, and you catch some words, but the whole meaning just seems to drift away? It's like trying to grab smoke. Or perhaps you find yourself nodding along politely, pretending to understand. But inside, your brain is just a blurry, jumbled mess of sounds, constantly trying to play catch-up. If you've ever felt like your ears just aren't quite keeping pace with the rapid flow of spoken English, or if you're desperately searching for that special secret ingredient to make English truly flow into your understanding, empowering you to speak with real confidence because you genuinely grasp what's being said all around you, then let me tell you, you are absolutely in the perfect place at the perfect time. Don't go anywhere. Seriously, stay with me until the very end, because in today's episode, 23, Improve Your English Listening for Intermediate English Learners, we're not just going to talk about listening, we're going to hand you the practical tools, the fresh, innovative strategies, and the vital mindset shifts that will make English listening feel like second nature, like it's just a natural, effortless part of who you are. You truly won't want to miss a single moment of this deep dive. You know, I've been thinking a lot recently about our last conversation together in episode 21, Improving Your English Listening and Speaking Skills. In that talk, we really focused on breaking down that first big wall, feeling less nervous when you open your mouth to speak English. We explored powerful ideas like how to grasp the main message even if you don't catch every word, the brave act of asking good questions when you're unsure, and why it's so incredibly important to just speak, even if your English isn't perfect yet. The messages and comments I received from so many of you after that episode were just amazing, and it truly showed me how much you're all eager to make real, lasting changes in your English journey. It's clear that getting better at talking, both understanding and being understood, is a very important goal for you. Today, we're picking up right where we left off, diving into episode 23, Improve Your English Listening for Intermediate English Learners. This episode is all about learning how to sharpen your listening skills so deeply that English becomes a natural, easy part of your daily life, flowing without effort, almost like breathing. This is not just about reading grammar books or remembering long lists of new words, even though those are good tools too. Instead, it's about making English a fun, regular habit that you do every day, with a special focus on making your ears stronger for all kinds of English. So, if you're really ready to take your listening and speaking skills to the next step, to feel more comfortable, more confident, and more like yourself in English every single day, then grab a warm drink, get comfortable, and let's start building those good English habits together right now. How to learn English everywhere, easy and active ways. Let's first change how we think about learning everywhere or immersion. Many people believe that to truly learn English deeply, you need to pack your bags and move to an English-speaking country. And while that can be a great experience, it's simply not true that it's the only way. Even if you can't move, you definitely can make a strong English-speaking environment where you are. You can do this by using two types of learning: easy learning, passive immersion, and active learning, active immersion. Let me tell you about my friend David, who lives in the busy city of Boston. David works a lot as a computer expert, and his job needs him to talk often in English, even though English is not his first language. For many years, he had a common problem. He could read English papers and code perfectly, but when he tried to speak, his words came out slowly, and he felt unsure. He felt stuck, like there was a wall he could not pass. So I told him a super simple, easy way to learn, a type of passive immersion. Change the language settings on all his personal devices to English. His phone, his laptop, even his favorite video game console. At first, David actually laughed. He thought, "Sophia, that's such a small, almost silly change. How will that help me speak better?" But after just a few weeks of consistently having his devices in English, he called me, completely surprised. He said it changed everything. Suddenly, every message on his phone, every choice on a menu, every button in an app, every instruction on his computer, they were all in English. When his phone vibrated with new message from Sarah, he was learning English without trying. When he used his computer for work, he learned useful everyday tech words like download, upload, settings, preferences, save file, and undo, without ever opening a book or doing any formal studying. This constant, quiet English around him, in situations important to his life, helped him easily recognize everyday words. It's like having a small, kind, always there English teacher whispering in your ear all day long, showing you words in real situations. This is not just about learning new words. It's about making your brain used to always seeing and hearing English. This is very powerful for understanding when people talk. Your brain starts to know common patterns and phrases even before you try to learn them. Think about it. Every time you see a small ad in English or you look at social media posts in English, your brain is quietly working to understand that language. It's building a strong base for faster, easier listening. This subtle exposure, without the pressure of direct translation, is a fantastic way to develop an intuitive grasp of English. You'll find yourself recognizing context and anticipating meaning much more quickly. Now, let's move to active learning, which means you choose to do something with English. One of the best and most fun ways to do this is to bring English movies, TV shows, or online videos into your daily life. But here's the very important part. Change how you watch as you get better. When you're just starting, or if a show has very fast talking or hard words, try watching it with English subtitles. This is great. It helps you connect what you hear with what you read. This is very powerful for getting better at both listening and reading at the same time. I remember doing this a lot with a famous American TV show, The Office. It's full of everyday office talks, funny jokes, and very natural conversations. At first, I read the words on the screen almost all the time to keep up. This step is key because it helps you bridge the gap between sounds and their meaning. You might even want to stop the video sometimes, look up words you don't know, and then play that part again to hear how they are used. It's about really working with the video. This active engagement allows you to dissect the language, understand pronunciation in context, and build your vocabulary organically. Think of it as your personal language lab, where you control the speed and depth of learning. But then, as my ears started to get better at understanding spoken English, I gave myself a big challenge. I tried watching the same shows, or new ones, without any words on the screen. This is a big step, and it can feel a little scary at first, like jumping into the deep end of a swimming pool. But it makes your brain work much harder. It makes you really listen, focus, and put together the meaning from the sounds, the situation, the way people's voices go up and down, and their body language. It's like a super brain workout for your English. I was surprised. I started understanding jokes, slang, and cultural ideas that I had completely missed before. I even started to copy how the people on the show talked, their natural rhythm, their common phrases, and how they showed feelings. This not only helped my listening a lot, but also made my own speaking sound much more natural, smooth, and easy. The main thing here is to find movies, shows, or online videos you truly enjoy, so it never feels like boring schoolwork. It becomes a fun part of your day. Beyond fun shows, think about listening to news podcasts from different English-speaking countries. This lets you hear more formal language and talk about current events, which can be hard but very rewarding for advanced listening. Or if you have a special hobby like cooking, history, or science, look for English talks or videos on those topics. Listening about something you already like makes learning much more interesting and works better. Try to tell yourself what you heard after a part, or even write down short notes of main ideas. This active work helps your listening a lot. When you're watching or listening without subtitles, your brain is forced to focus on the sounds and intonation to derive meaning rather than relying on visual cues. This is a crucial step in developing truly fluent listening. Moving past just learning from screens, let's focus on talking in real life. These are not just chances to practice. These are the very moments where your English truly becomes alive, useful, and ready for real situations. When you're in these real moments, your brain is not just listening for words. It's listening to understand why someone is speaking, how they feel, what the situation is, and how you should answer quickly. This is where listening skills really get strong. At the coffee shop. Imagine yourself walking into your favorite local coffee shop, maybe a busy, lively place in a city like Seattle, or a quiet, warm cafe right in your own neighborhood. When you first start, you might only know how to say a simple "coffee, please" to order. But here's the secret. Every single visit is a hidden chance to learn and grow. The friendly person serving coffee might ask you, "Would you like that to go or for here?" Or, if you order a special coffee, they might add, "Any room for cream?" Initially, these small phrases might confuse you. To go? For here? Room for cream? What do they mean? But after hearing them a few times, perhaps even bravely asking what they mean, like we talked about in episode 21, you'll quickly learn them. You'll understand that to go means taking your drink with you, for here means you'll drink it right there at the cafe. Room for cream simply means, do you want space left in your cup for milk or cream? By simply doing these small talks often, making them a regular part of your day, you'll quickly feel more confident in understanding and speaking English in these common, everyday places. The more you order, the easier it gets. Pay close attention not just to the words, but how fast the person speaks, how their voice goes up and down when asking a question, and the common phrases they use. This helps you guess and understand faster talking. Noticing these nuances in speed and intonation is a hallmark of advanced listening. Shopping with confidence. Let's change to a common shopping situation. Imagine yourself in a big store in a busy city like New York City, or maybe a nice small shop in your town. You found a jacket you really like, but you're not sure if they have your size. Your first thought might be, "Oh no, what if I make a mistake when I ask for help? What if they don't understand me?" But then you remember our advice. Talking is the most important goal, not being perfect. You bravely walk to the sales helper, take a deep breath, and clearly ask, "Excuse me, do you have this jacket in a smaller size, please?" Or, "How much does this cost?" The helper smiles kindly. "Let me check for you." They are truly happy to help you. That small, successful talk, asking a question and getting a clear answer, makes you feel much more confident. It reminds you that simply asking questions, even if you're not completely sure of every word, is a very good way to improve your English. Most people are more than happy to help you when you show you are trying to talk. Here, your listening is very important for understanding what the product is about, how much it costs, and if it's available. Listen for numbers, words that describe things, and common shopping phrases like fitting room, cashier, or on sale. Actively listen for details like specific sizes. Do you have this in a medium, please? Colors. Is this available in blue? And textures. Is this made of cotton? This type of specific listening is crucial for practical transactional English, traveling and asking for directions. Think about my friend Carlos, who recently visited a new big city in the USA for the very first time. Carlos had studied English a lot in school, knowing many grammar rules and words, but he was always quite afraid of speaking in public, especially when asking for directions. When he got to the busy airport, he felt very confused. He needed to go to his hotel, but he wasn't sure which train to take. It was a simple question, but thinking about asking it made him nervous. He took a deep breath, went to the information desk, and clearly said, "Excuse me, can you tell me how to get to the train station for downtown, please?" The person at the desk was kind and gave him clear, easy steps. Carlos understood everything perfectly. He was amazed at how simple it was to follow. He understood then that speaking English doesn't always need to be perfectly fancy or beautiful. It just needs to work. The most important part was that he tried to talk. And the more Carlos practiced asking questions and talking during his trip, from ordering food to checking into his hotel, the more comfortable and natural his English became. Every time he talked, it was a small win. When listening for directions, focus on keywords like turn left, go straight, next to, across from, and numbers for street names. Thinking about the path in your mind as you listen can really help you understand better. Also, listen for prepositions of place and movement, like over, through, under, which are critical for understanding spatial relationships in directions. Try to visualize the path they describe. Talking on the phone. Like a true professional. Now, let's talk about phone calls. Many English learners find these especially hard because you can't see the other person's face or body language, and sometimes the sound quality is not good. But this is actually a great chance to practice your listening and speaking skills. My friend Brenda, who lives in a busy city in Texas, recently had to call her internet company to fix a bill problem. The person on the phone talked very fast, and Brenda, even though she knew English well, found it hard to keep up with all the details and technical words. Instead of getting worried or pretending she understood everything, Brenda took a deep breath and bravely asked, "I'm so sorry, but could you please speak a little more slowly? I want to make sure I understand everything clearly." The person immediately understood and patiently said the information again at a slower, clearer speed. This simple act of asking for help not only helped Brenda get the right information, but also made her feel strong and sure of herself. It taught her that it's totally okay to ask someone on the phone to speak slower or explain things again. In fact, doing so shows that you are really listening and truly want to understand, which is a sign of someone who talks well, no matter the language. When listening on the phone, really focus on saying back what you heard to check. So, just to make sure my bill is X dollars? And summing up, okay, so I need to restart the internet box and then call back if it doesn't work. This makes sure you get it right and helps you feel better about your listening. Phone conversations also rely heavily on active listening cues like, uh-huh, I see, right, to show you're following along, even if you're not speaking. Practice using these. Socializing with ease and happily. Finally, let's talk about those wonderful, but sometimes a bit scary, social gatherings. Maybe a casual barbecue at a friend's house in a quiet area, or a lively business meeting in a big city like Chicago. These informal places are great, easy ways to practice talking in English. It's really all about having fun and connecting with others, not about being perfect with grammar. I remember going to a friend's birthday party recently and found myself talking to someone new. We started talking about our hobbies. I asked, "So, what do you like to do in your free time?" The person, who loved being outdoors, said with a smile, "Oh, I love hiking. I go every weekend, rain or shine. There are so many great trails near here." I was truly happy because I also like hiking, and our talk flowed easily and naturally. We talked about different hiking paths nearby, shared stories about being outside, and even gave each other some tips about hiking clothes. The best part? I didn't worry about making mistakes. It was a relaxed, real talk, and I could practice asking open questions and answering without feeling like I had to be perfect. This personal story showed me again that easy talks are a great way to practice listening and speaking in real life. When you feel less pressure, you can focus more on the flow of the talk and just enjoying the connection, which is key to natural talking. In social groups, listen for how people show they are listening, when to jump in, when to agree, how to show you're paying attention, like saying, "Mm-hmm, right, that's interesting," or "art." These small signs really help others see you as a good listener. Also, pay attention to conversational turn-taking, when to speak, when to wait, and how to gently interrupt if needed. This is a critical listening skill in social settings. Making your English better, stories, sounds, and quick answers. After you get comfortable with simple talks, speaking English well means you can say more difficult things. It means you can share your thoughts clearly and understand others very deeply. How to tell stories and explain clearly. A very important part of speaking English well is being able to tell a story or explain something simply and clearly. Whether it's telling a funny story about something that happened to you today, describing an important event from your past, or showing someone step by step how to cook your favorite dish, telling stories and explaining things clearly are very important skills. They will make you feel much more confident and interesting when speaking English. Let me give you an example from my own life. I remember a time when my niece, Lily, who lives in sunny California, asked me to show her how to make her favorite healthy green smoothie. I wasn't just telling her a list of things. I had to explain the process to her, step by step, using clear English. I started with, "First, you need to get all your things ready. So, grab a ripe banana, a good handful of fresh green spinach, some plain almond milk, and a spoon of your favorite protein powder." Then I continued, "Next, carefully put all these healthy things into the blender. And then finally, press the button and mix it until it's perfectly smooth and wonderfully creamy. Don't stop until it's super smooth." By often practicing telling stories and explaining steps clearly, you not only make your speaking better and smoother, but also make your talks much more interesting for the person listening. This practice also makes you think in order and naturally use connecting words like first, next, then, after that, and finally, which are wonderful tools for talking smoothly and logically. For listening, when someone is telling a story, try hard to find the beginning, middle, and end. Listen for words that connect parts of a story, like suddenly, after a while, eventually. This structure helps your brain follow the story and understand the whole idea, which really helps your listening in longer talks. Try to mentally map out the sequence of events as you hear them. This active listening strategy will improve your ability to recall details. Hearing different English sounds for better listening. English is spoken by billions of people all over the world, from big cities to small towns. Because of this, you will hear many different ways of speaking English, called accents. Even in the same country, like the USA, people might speak English in slightly different ways, depending on where they grew up. Someone from New York will sound different from someone in Texas. This can be a bit tricky at first, especially when you hear words or phrases that sound new or are spoken with a rhythm you're not used to. But please, don't worry. This is a normal and actually very exciting part of becoming truly good at English. It means you're making your ears smarter. My friend Marcus, from a busy city in Florida, used to only listen to American English talks and TV shows. He understood American accents very well. But when his job sent him to work with a new team in London, he found it quite hard to understand his British friends. They used different words and had a clear way of speaking. For example, they might say lift instead of elevator or lorry instead of truck. Phrases like pop round instead of come over or taking the piss instead of teasing surprised him completely, and the accent itself was a challenge. After that first hard time, Marcus made a smart choice. He decided to really listen to different accents. He started listening to talks from many English-speaking countries: Australia, Canada, Ireland, South Africa, and of course, the UK. He watched online videos with people from different places and even joined online groups with other English learners from all over the world who spoke with different native accents. After only a few months, he got much better at understanding different accents, and now he feels totally comfortable and sure when talking with English speakers from anywhere. This leads us nicely into how to make your own speaking sounds better. When listening to different accents, pay attention to vowel sounds, which change a lot, and how you stress words. Sometimes just a small change in a vowel sound or how you stress a part of a word can make it hard to know. Over time, your brain will get used to it and become more flexible. A great tip for this is to use online pronunciation dictionaries that offer both American and British English pronunciations, like Youglish, which shows you how words are spoken in real videos. This visual and auditory exposure is immensely helpful. Making your speaking sounds perfect with focused practice, pronunciation. Many English learners find it hard to say words correctly because English words are not always said the way they are written. Some words have letters you don't say, like the K in knife. Others have strange stresses, like photograph versus photographer, and many sounds are very different from how they look on paper. This can make it hard to know how to say words correctly and clearly. A very good and helpful way to make your speaking sounds better is, again, by using shadowing, but now focusing on the sounds, the rhythm of the sentence, and how you stress words. As I said before, you listen to a native speaker and try to say what they say right after them, copying their exact sounds as fast and correctly as you can. Pay attention to how they connect words together or make some sounds shorter. For example, going to often becomes gonna. When you practice saying these natural short forms yourself, your ear gets much better at hearing them. If you don't know how to say a specific word, don't be scared to use an online dictionary that has sound. Websites like Merriam-Webster or Cambridge Dictionary are great for this, as they often give both American and British ways to say words. The more you practice shadowing and really listen to how words are said correctly, the better your own speaking sounds will become, making you sound clearer, more confident, and much more natural. This direct link between speaking and listening is very important. When you can make a sound correctly, your brain is much more likely to know it when others say it. Consider using a voice recorder to record yourself shadowing and then compare it to the original. This self-correction loop is highly effective, answering easily and feeling super confident. Another key part of speaking English well is learning how to answer easily and quickly in talks. Many learners stop when they talk because they are thinking too much. They are constantly trying to change words from their own language to English in their head, and they worry too much about having perfect grammar and words. While it's always good to try and speak correctly, thinking too much about grammar rules right in the middle of a conversation can actually make you speak slower and sound less natural, like a robot. Instead, a great tip is to try to learn common short phrases and ways of saying things that native speakers use for quick, sudden answers. For example, instead of thinking hard about how to make a perfect sentence when someone asks, "How's your day going?" you can simply learn and practice simple, natural answers like, "It's going well, thanks. How about yours?" "Pretty good, just a busy day at work." "Not bad, just relaxing at home." "Can't complain. This means my day is good." "Doing great, and you?" When you learn these common answers, you don't have to think too much when you talk. You can answer quickly and naturally, just like native speakers. Let's take the example of Mia, a university student who lives in sunny California. She first had a very hard time with small talk, those light, everyday conversations. When people asked her simple questions like, "What do you do for fun?" or "How was your weekend?" she would stop for a long, quiet time, trying to make a perfect long sentence in her head before answering. This made her feel very nervous and shy when talking. But then, she started giving time to learning common small talk phrases and practicing them in front of a mirror. Then, she moved on to practicing with a friendly language partner. She learned how to answer quickly with short, natural words. After practicing for just a few weeks, she felt much more comfortable talking. Now, when someone asks her a question, she can answer easily with a warm smile and without thinking too much. If you want to make your English much, much better, start by learning useful natural phrases for everyday talks. You can find these phrases in TV shows, movies, other talks you listen to, or just by watching and listening to native speakers in real life. Try saying them out loud until they feel very natural to say, almost like they just come out without thinking. When you learn these phrases as chunks of language, your brain doesn't have to put them together word by word. This helps you understand what people are saying, listening much faster, because you are seeing common patterns instead of single words, and your answer time gets much better. Lastly, let's connect all of this to feeling super confident. Many English learners know a lot of words and grammar rules, but they still feel incredibly nervous when they actually have to speak. The strong fear of making mistakes often stops them from practicing, which creates a frustrating cycle where they never truly get better at speaking. But here is the real truth, and I really want you to remember this, to write it down if you need to. Making mistakes is a natural, necessary, and will happen part of learning any language. Even native speakers make mistakes all the time. A truly good way to build real, lasting confidence is by starting with small, easy, not scary talks. You don't need to have long, deep talks about big ideas right away. Start with short, simple interactions like, ordering your food in English at a restaurant, asking for simple directions on the street, having a quick, friendly chat with a store worker about an item, saying, "Thank you, have a good day," to a cashier. These small, easy talks will slowly but surely help you get used to speaking English in real situations. I know a young worker named Alex in Chicago who is very shy about speaking English. He completely avoided talks because he was so scared of making mistakes. But then he set a simple, real goal: to say at least one full sentence in English every single day. He started by greeting people at work with, "Good morning, how are you?" Then he practiced ordering his coffee at the local cafe in English, saying, "Can I get a large black coffee, please?" Slowly, steadily, step by step, he built up his confidence piece by piece, like building a strong brick wall. And now he can have full, interesting conversations without feeling that huge nervousness. So, my dear listeners, please don't be afraid to speak. Start small, practice every single day, and remember that mistakes are not bad things, not failures, but very important chances to learn and grow. The more you speak, the more confident you'll feel. And that confidence, I promise you, will strongly push you forward on your path to speaking English well. And here's the key for listening. When you feel less worried about speaking, your brain can work better, making it much easier for your brain to focus on and understand what you hear. Feeling confident in speaking helps you listen better. All right, we've covered a tremendous amount of ground today in episode 23. Improve your English listening for intermediate English learners here on Best English Podcast. We looked at how real-life situations and simple steps can truly change and supercharge your English listening and speaking skills. To quickly review the strong, helpful points we talked about today, these are the main parts of your future fluent self. Master the big picture for listening. This is probably the most basic point for making your listening better. Remember to teach your ear and brain to focus on the big picture when you listen, understanding the main idea, the overall situation, and what the person wants to say is much more important than getting stuck on every single word. Practice listening actively by guessing what the person might say next, or thinking about their main point in your head. This is key for good, real-world listening. Be a brave question asker. This directly helps your listening grow. Don't be afraid to ask for help or to make things clear when you don't understand something. It shows you are strong, involved, and want to learn, and it directly makes your listening better by filling in what you don't know right away. Use phrases like, "Can you say that again, please?" Or, "What do you mean by that?" Just speak without fear. This is very important for speaking well overall, and surprisingly for listening too. Don't worry about mistakes because they are truly your best teachers. And every time you open your mouth to speak, you are building very valuable confidence that helps both speaking and listening. When you worry less about speaking, your brain can work better, which means better listening. Learn English every day, everywhere. Truly learn English every day by making English around you. This includes changing your phone and computer languages, watching English videos with and without words on the screen, and especially focusing on listening to many different English accents. The more different English sounds you hear, the more your ear gets used to them. Practice real-life situations. Make sure to actively practice real-life talks, like ordering food, shopping, asking for directions, and talking on the phone. The more you do, the easier it becomes to understand what others are saying and how to answer correctly. These are practical listening challenges that build quick understanding skills. Be a clear storyteller. Make your storytelling and explaining skills better by practicing how to break down information clearly and in order. Even though this is about speaking, when you organize your own thoughts clearly, it helps you better understand other people's clear thoughts when they speak. Make your sounds better for better understanding. Make your speaking sounds better by doing regular shadowing practice. When you say words better, it can actually help you hear the differences in sounds and make your listening better. Respond like a native speaker. Learn to answer easily and naturally with common, everyday phrases to build your confidence and make your talk smooth. When you understand these common chunks of language, your brain doesn't have to work as hard to figure them out, which frees up your mind for more difficult listening. In all the personal stories we shared today, whether it was David learning easily with his phone, Carlos bravely finding his way at the airport, Brenda handling a tricky phone call, Mia overcoming small talk fears, or Alex bravely starting with simple sentences every day, there's a clear, strong message. They all took that very important first step to speak and join in, even when they felt unsure or nervous. And that, my friends, is the most important lesson for you too. You might feel a bit worried, a little nervous, and that's perfectly normal. But the more you engage, the more you speak, the better you'll get. And the easier it will be to understand English because you'll get used to the natural beat and flow of the language. Your ears will literally tune in more effectively. I truly hope this episode 23, Improve Your English Listening for Intermediate English Learners, has inspired you to take those small, brave, regular steps every single day. Remember, learning English is a wonderful, rewarding trip, not a crazy race. Every little talk you have, every clarifying question you ask, every single time you try to speak, even if it's just practicing a phrase in your head, you are making amazing real progress. So, go out there and practice, even if it's just for a few minutes each day. Doing it often, with consistency, is what truly makes you speak English well for a long time. Before we wrap up, I want to give you a specific challenge to put what you've learned today into action for episode 23. Improve your English listening for intermediate English learners. First, choose one new type of English listening content that you haven't regularly used before. This could be a news podcast from a country with an accent you're less familiar with, like a BBC World Service podcast for a British accent, or ABC News Australia for an Australian accent. A documentary on a topic you enjoy, watched without subtitles, if you feel ready for that challenge. Or, if you prefer something lighter, a YouTube channel dedicated to a hobby you have, presented by a native English speaker. Your task is to dedicate just 10 to 15 minutes each day for the next week to this new listening practice. Don't worry about understanding every single word. Instead, focus on two things: the big picture. Can you understand the main idea or the overall topic of what's being discussed? Key vocabulary. Try to identify 3 to 5 new or important words that are repeated or seem essential to the topic. Don't stop to look them up immediately, just try to get them from context. After your listening session, take a moment to briefly summarize aloud what you understood. This helps solidify your comprehension and connect to listening with speaking. If you're feeling brave, share your experience in the comments section on our website or social media. Tell us what new content you tried and what you learned. We love hearing about your progress. Thank you so much for joining me on Best English Podcast today. If you found this episode helpful and inspiring, please do me a very big favor. Click that subscribe button wherever you listen to talks, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Google Podcasts. Also, please share this episode with a friend who is also learning English, because sharing knowledge helps us all grow stronger together. And if you have a moment, giving us a rating and a review really helps,